Hi, Tahila here. And I just wanted to make a quick video to explain to you how this 30-day bootcamp works. The 30-day bootcamp is the basis of our work together. So in these 4 weeks, these 30 days, we do this bootcamp. And then if you wanted to extend your time with me and you wanted to do the 90-day reset to love, or if you want to do the 9-month accountability, we'll always first start with this 30-day bootcamp in any case. And my goal with a bootcamp is that whether it's time constraints or financial constraints or for whatever reason, you don't want to go on after the 30 days, I want to make sure that you feel really equipped to be able to take what I've shared with you in those 4 weeks further into building something that not only makes you feel safe again, but also ignites you and builds the passion up again. So the 30-day bootcamp starts with in week 1, where we do the assessment. The assessment I prefer to do in a day and a half. But I find that if there are time zone differences, if you're in the States, it would be my afternoons. If you're in New Zealand or Australia, it would be in my mornings. Then we'd have to do it over 3 days. But generally, how it works is you guys get a bunch of online things to do. There's paid assessments, free assessments, my personality quiz, as well as some forms that I found really trigger some questions that help you to start directing your own progress in our sessions to where you want to go with your relationship. Then I see you two together for a one-on-one, for a couple session together. And this joint session can be anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. I book out 2 hours so we've got enough time, but it doesn't need to take 2 hours. But in this time, I get to see how the two of you are together, and I get to see how you both answer. Do you answer for each other? Do you talk over each other? Do you feel shocked when you disagree about the answers? That sort of thing, which gives me another layer of insights into our work together. Then what we do is we do 2 one-on-one sessions. So I'll see one of you for 90 minutes and then the other one of you for 90 minutes. And in this time, we explore your childhood. Because as much as we'd like to think it's over, it's past, and unfortunately has a very big impact on our expectations in a relationship and how we think it's supposed to work and what we feel safe with, what's familiar, and so forth. After that, we normally take a nice lunch break, and then I do the feedback session. The feedback session is 3 hours. It's intensive. You get lots of information. I speak it through to you. I don't give so much black and white written information, because generally when couples come to see me, seeing these things in black and white could be like, why, are all these things wrong with us? And I don't want that for you. I want you guys to see your strengths, and I want to see what we need to work on, so we've got a clear path forward. And the reason I do this is because after many years, I've noticed that couples generally come to me because of communication problems. And then when we dig deeper, we see it's the limiting beliefs, it's the fears, it's the attachment injuries. There's so many elements to it. So after studying with the Gottman's levels 1 and 2, I realized there was all these layers that I could add that would bring out so much depth and richness to your time with me. And so with that assessment in week 1, I've got a very clear insight into what we need to work on in the following 3 weeks. So week 2, we do a tools course. So we'll do another 3-hour session, but it will be packed with the tools that I find the most relevant based on your assessment that you would need to do. You also get access to my course, my e-course, which you can buy on my website. But if you do the bootcamp, it's included for free. And in this, we cover most of the tools that I generally use. So you've got lifetime access to remembering, I couldn't remember how that worked, or it was so much information, I can't remember this one so well. Then you've got that course as well to guide you. But what I really try and do in our sessions is where we can practice it. Because when you hear it, it makes sense. And it's like, oh, okay. But then when you go home, it's quite tricky to implement. So it's to make sure that we get to implement the tools that we've learned. Week 3, we do 2 individual sessions again. So I see you one-on-one again, because I find that even though we're working on the relationship, if we can't emotionally regulate within, our best intentions and the greatest tools will keep letting us down when we're triggered. And with BWRT, which stands for Brain Working Recursive Therapy, it's a phenomenal tool to help us de-escalate or deactivate triggers at the source. So most therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, works with from when you're conscious to it, getting into your subconscious, and we slowly rewire the pathways that way. With BWRT, we're instantly working on the actual trigger. So with that one-on-one session, I try to find the most relevant triggers from childhood or from past experiences in your relationship that we can deactivate that week, just giving you that little bit more space to show up in your sessions and in your conversations with each other, feeling lighter and less triggered. We usually do one BWRT in a session. Sometimes I get it very quickly, we can do two. But even one deactivation of a massive trigger is beautiful. And then week 4, the final week of the 4-week boot camp, or the 30-day boot camp, is where we have a joint 3-hour session again. So every week it's 3 hours, except the first week, which is the assessment, which takes roughly 8 hours. But the last week, the 3-hour session, here we have a difficult conversation. So one of the conversations, like I said, most people come and see me for communication. So we take one of those communication issues, one of the topics that seem to always come up, or when they come up, it instantly triggers and activates old responses. And we work through it together in a nice long 3-hour session where I can guide you. And here you will have insights as to why it's been such a trigger because of the assessment. You'll have the tools from week 2 to guide the conversation, and you will have a little bit more space, less of a trigger on your activated nervous system in having that conversation because of the work we did in week 3. And all of that will accumulate into us being able to have the safe conversation in week 4. And then you get to see what it's like to have a conversation in a contained way where I will step in and regulate and guide as needed. I really feel this is a brilliant boot camp for couples to get the core basics that they need to make their marriage into something significant. After that, if you wanted to, because there's been a long history of hurts or there's been an affair, the affair I do a little bit of a different route. We have to do some deactivation first before we do the assessment. But generally, after that, if you want to work with me for 3 months, then we do the 90-day one. And then we take that which we found in this assessment and this first part, and we do it weekly. And weekly, 1 week it will be couples, and then the 1 week one-on-one. We can do couples instead of one-on-one if I find it necessary, but generally I really like the one-on-one time to help you learn to regulate your nervous system and to work on deactivating the trigger. So we do some somatic work, we do some polyvagal theory, we work with the Gottman method, we work with the assessment tools, and then we work with BWRT for the deactivation. So it's a really inclusive approach that helps to heal the old wounds, deactivate the triggers, and equip you to be able to do this on your own in the future. And then for those who want the 9-month accountability, so after the 3 months, I feel really confident that you have the tools and the insights necessary to have the difficult conversations if there are any left. So what we do then with the rest of the 6 months post the 3 months is we'll have a once a month check-in. And in that session, which is usually about 2 hours, we would then work on a theme. So we will talk about having more fun in the relationship, and there'll be homework and apps and things that go around, suggestions to apps that we can work with you to guide and support you to have a month of fun, to bring that into your relationship. And the next month, intimacy. And the next month, it could be roles and expectations and familial support and parenting and all of those things. So the 9 months is using that solid foundation and then bringing in themes. Those are my 3 different options for my couples. For the individuals, it's slightly different because we don't do an assessment, but for my individual work, it's also in containers, and we do a lot more sessions in the beginning and we spread it out just like that. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I look forward to hearing from you. Goodbye.